Right now, we want to get women who have any problems with their immune system, especially if they have breast cancer. And most women who have breast cancer also have defective immunity for no other reason that they've undergone chemotherapy, which destroys your immune system. This is the latest from Natural News. Quote, turkey tail mushrooms can boost your immune system so significantly it may even shrink breast cancer tumors. A 7-year, $1 million clinical study funded by the National Institutes of Health and jointly connected by the University of Minnesota and Bastyr University showed that Trametes versicolor, or turkey tail mushroom, in its dried form, dramatically boosts immune function for women with stage 1 to 3 breast cancer, possibly shrinking tumors. So, as you remember, if you listen to the program on a regular basis, I talked about the turkey tail mushrooms because we've known for some time that it builds the immune system, and each day, if you take it, it can prevent adverse effects. The findings may be the most important health discovery for mycologists. Mycologist is a person who studies mushrooms. And since the invention of penicillin, which, by the way, is derived from the fungus of Penicillium, and vital information on breast cancer patients, quote, cancer is notorious for its ability to evade immune detection, says the lead researcher. Quote, one theory is that when patients ingest turkey tail mycelium, the immune system's increased populations of natural killer cells and their associated CD8 glycoproteins are better able to discover and bind to receptor sites on the stroma of tumors, thus allowing natural killer cell invasion. If true, then the use of this medicinal mushroom as an adjunct of preventative therapy may help many patients better fight the battle when challenged with tumor-forming cancers, end quote. I would go one step further, and it works this way. Turkey tail mushrooms improve upper respiratory tract infections by preventing them. They help the pulmonary diseases. They eliminate urinary tract infections. They relieve indigestion infections like ileitis, Crohn's disease. And they're a general remedy for malaise and lack of energy. So it's just one of the best things you could do. Now, if you knew that something helped, if you have cancer that was natural, non-toxic, it also stands to reason it could help in prevention. So for today, we're going to help the women in this audience, or the men who care about the women in their lives, to prevent cancer. Include that into their programs. From North Carolina and Texas State, rose hips. Now, people normally don't eat rose hip. It's a hard little red, size of maybe a little tiny marble. And it's the fruit of the rose plant. But it significantly reduced the growth and migration of cells from a type of breast cancer known as triple negative. And this particular aggressive form of cancer does not respond to most available treatments. And it's very common in African American and Latino women. Quote, doctors and patients, researchers are looking for alternative treatments for triple negative breast cancer. And people are also looking for ways to prevent cancer. That's according to Patrick Martin, professor at North Carolina Agricultural and Texas State University, the leader study. Quote, how awesome could it be to say, here, take a daily vitamin tablet from the rose plant and possibly help prevent or treat cancer. It is a natural product that we found to be effective with no known side effects, end quote. So that's good. We've known that rosehip, you can buy rosehip in supplement form. I suggest buying it at a high potency. 500 milligrams, 1,000 milligrams. Take it once or twice a day for prevention of breast cancer. The triple negative breast cancer draws its name from the fact that the cancer cells in these tumors lack the 3 growth factor receptors that are normally targeted during breast cancer treatment. As a result, most existing treatments are simply ineffective against it, and most of these patients die. And in the study, the scientists treated tissue cultures of triple-negative breast cancer cells with several concentrations of rosehip extract. And exposure to the highest concentration, 1 milligram, decreased triple-negative breast cancer proliferation by 50%. So that's good. And so it's just another thing to help people. And also, Vanderbilt University and Shanghai Cancer Institute did a study together. And what it was is looking at peanuts. Now, I haven't read any other studies. I think this is probably the first study to assess peanuts' health benefits across all races and not just high-income white populations as has previously been studied. Researchers have found that consumption of peanuts is heart protective. And peanuts were linked to a lower incidence of deaths stemming from heart disease by as much as 21% reduction in mortality in lower-income Americans of African and European descent. To conduct this study, researchers from Vanderbilt University Medical Center and Shanghai Cancer Institute assessed 3 large ongoing cohort studies over more than 5 years. They looked at smoking habits, alcohol intake, metabolic conditions, and mass body index, or how fat you were. They examined 70,000 Americans of African and European descent, and in the South, it was called the Southern Community Cohort Study, and 130,000 Chinese in the Shanghai Western Women's Health Study. And peanuts, of course, are not a nut. Peanuts are a legume, and legumes are known to be heart healthy. Now, in the nut family, walnuts and almonds are known to help the heart and lower death. The findings were published in the Journal of the American Medical Association's Internal Medicine. The article is entitled Prospective Evaluation of the Association of Nut Peanut Consumption with Total Cause-Specific Mortality, which means death. And it states that the study was conducted to evaluate what heart and related reduced death benefits might exist among peanut eaters. So, want to reduce your chance of dying by a big margin, over 21% from heart conditions? Eat peanuts. And finally, the color of lettuce determines the speed of its antioxidant effect. Now, this is the University of Basque in Spain, and they talk about lettuce, which, by the way, is indispensable as a vegetable in the Mediterranean diet. It greatly impacts health, not the iceberg type, not the one we eat in the United States, but the greens and the reds, the purples, all different shades of lettuce, and especially the microgreens. The future of gardening will be microgreens and sprouts. But not all lettuce varieties have the same antioxidant effect. According to the study led by the researcher Dr. Lopez, the Department of Plant Biology and Ecology, and on the Faculty of Science and Technology, the color of the leaves of these vegetables determines the speed at which their components act. So, lettuces with green leaves have antioxidants that react more slowly. Red leaf ones act real fast. And the results of this study have been set out in the paper, Phenolic Composition and Related Antioxidant Properties in Differently Colored Lettuces, a study by Electron Paramagnetic Resonance Kinetics, and published in the Journal of Agriculture and Food Chemistry. So what's just the lay language takeaway from all this? When selecting your greens, select the colored greens, select the reds, the purples, the real dark greens. They're going to give you more antioxidants, and those antioxidants are going to get into your system faster, and that's going to protect you and will help lessen the problems. And one other thing, this is from the University of North Carolina, highly processed food dominate the U.S. grocery purchases. Quote, a nationwide analysis of U.S. grocery purchases reveals that highly processed foods make up more than 60% of the calories in food we buy. and these items tend to have more fat, sugar, and salt than less processed foods. Quote, many Americans have strongly held opinions and beliefs about processed foods. This is the professor who led this study. Some consider processed foods to be tasty, convenient, and affordable choices, while others contend that the combination of sugar, fat, salt, and flavoring in these foods promotes overeating and contributes to obesity. But until now, we didn't really have the evidence needed to settle this debate. No prior studies have examined whether highly processed foods collectively have a worse nutritional profile than minimally processed food. Using nutrition information and ingredient lists specific for barcoded food and beverage products. So they took a 12-year look at 157,000 households and found that, wow, people were eating all these sodas, cookies, chips, white bread, candies, and prepared meals, and loaded with chemicals and processing. And unhealthy, yes. Extremely unhealthy, yes. One of the other thing is unhealthy is high-fat diets. They alter your behavior. They produce signs of brain inflammation. From Louisiana State University, published in the peer-reviewed journal Biological Psychiatry, quote, high-fat diets, that's your average American, that's your pizzas, that's all of the food you see advertised on television when it comes to, oh, we give you all this in the morning, and look what you're giving. There's not a single healthy thing anyone that I've seen is giving anyone. It's all garbage. But that is known to increase the risk of medical problems, including heart disease and stroke. But what they left out is that it also increases the risk of, quote, depression and other psychiatric disorders because of the fat. So what we've been doing all along in all of the 40 different health studies with over 30,000 people is having an anti-inflammatory diet. Turn off the inflammation. Get rid of all the processing. And that works. They're now confirming that at Louisiana State University in that important article. I'm Gary Null. That's the latest in health and nutrition.